A lot of the problems that I had early on with Christianity and God in general was the idea of surrender. It was my life and I wanted to live my life. So I grew up in a very Christian household. Both my parents were Christian. And I was going to church, Sunday morning, Sunday night, sometimes Wednesday, for most of my life. So about halfway through high school, I started to, find some personal problems that I had with the church and started to move away from both church as well as Christ. That carried me through the rest of high school and into past college. I did about a 2-year stint where I lived in 3 different states. First stop was Phoenix, and my brother's a pastor there at a church in downtown Phoenix. I hadn't been to church in 5 to 7 years. What Gray, my brother, was able to do is open up a door for me to have a non-judgmental experience with the church again. From there, I moved to Mississippi, where I interacted a lot more with my parents. It reintroduced me into a loving relationship of Christian people, right? I also joined a men's group while I was there in Mississippi, which was kind of a combination of a lot of different churches and men from across the city. And that allowed me to see kind of a new perspective of what it's like to live a Christian male life. During this time, I really wouldn't consider myself a Christian. I was experimenting with things and kind of going through some wrestling with it. And then from there, I actually moved back to Northwest Arkansas. One of the major relationships that shaped me through this time was a relationship with my girlfriend at the time, Alex. God used her to show me what a loving relationship looks like, even outside of Christianity. She knew I wasn't a Christian. She loved Christ and was very open about that. What that caused me to start asking questions. As I walked through those 2 years, what I discovered was there was something that was keeping me from a relationship with him. And I realized through some study and through some mentoring through those relationships, both through Alex and my parents and everything like that, what was keeping me from that relationship was my sin. And it's at that point that I asked Christ to be in my life. I accepted Jesus Christ as my Savior and asked Him to take away the sin that was keeping us apart. And from there, the relationship has grown exponentially. My life has changed dramatically through this experience. I kind of jokingly said one time at a community group that the fact that I'm here is the biggest testimony that Christ is alive and well, right? My day-to-day experiences have changed dramatically, not only in the relationships that I've had with those key people, with my parents, with my now wife, Alex, with my brother. That has been one of the most life-changing things about this experience is the closeness to other people. Not only developing a relationship with Christ, but then channeling that relationship through to other people that I interact with on a daily basis. It's also changed dramatically how I spend my time and what I focus on. What does He want to use me for within this life, and how can I glorify Him the most in everything I do? Alex and I are part of a young couples community group, a fellowship in Rogers. We also went through Merge. It was a good way for us, not only just, for me especially, to dip my toes back into what community is in a church, but really honestly I'd never really truly felt that, especially not as an adult, and what that looks like on a daily basis. And we've gained so many great friendships in the community groups as well as some men groups as well. And then it's also really helped me a lot with what a Christian life should look like and people that I can model myself after. As a young Christian, that's extremely important to me because seeing it in a day-to-day life has been really, really profound for me.